Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're opening up a stack of sources that I think get to a really universal human experience. It's about what happens when you're tasked with some kind of massive long-term commitment. And all the metrics, all the numbers are telling you to just quit.
Yeah.
We're diving into the psychology of how you sustain that effort when the immediate return on investment is zero. Or even worse, it's negative.
Right.
Our source material for this deep dive is really fascinating. It's from a talk by Pastor Hu Zikang, and it draws very heavily on 2 Corinthians 4.
A classic text on perseverance.
Exactly. But our mission here, for you, is to kind of strip away the specific context and get to the core, actionable insight about motivation.
Absolutely. This isn't just about a religious calling or a specific job. It's about the mental framework you need, whether you're, running a marathon or leading a startup that hasn't broken even yet.
Or working on a civic project for decades.
Yes. We're looking at how anyone, when they're entrusted with a big role, a mandate, you could call it, maintains that momentum, especially when, human weakness, daily hardship, and just disappointing results make you want to give up.
So let's jump right in, because the sources, they nail this key tension immediately. The entire foundation of perseverance, it seems, rests on how you frame the work. Do you see your dedicated service, your work, as a heavy burden, or do you see it as a special privilege?
And that perspective is, well, it's everything. If you see the mandate as just a burden, something that's been forced on you.
Yeah, a chore.
Or, and a source uses this language, a punishment from God.
Right.
Well, then the effort becomes forced. You're always calculating, what's the minimum I have to do here?
It becomes purely transactional.
A direct path to burnout. That's what it is.
And I think we've all been there, right? You felt that feeling where you're just clocking in and out, performing the bare minimum, dreading the next thing on the to-do list.
That's the burden mindset in action.
But the sources, they point to a really powerful counter-strategy, and it comes from the example of the Apostle Paul.
Paul's motivation was just fundamentally different. It was rooted in grace and mercy, and he says it right there in 2 Corinthians 4.1.
What does he say?
He says, essentially, since we have been entrusted with this task, this high-stakes vocation, we don't give up. The key is the positive starting point. He saw the role itself as an act of mercy, not some debt that he had to go and repay.
So, okay, if we translate that for a secular context, it means if your motivation starts with gratitude,
yes.
Gratitude for the opportunity, or maybe for the trust your boss or your community put in you, that positive frame acts like a psychological shield.
That's a great way to put it. Because if you only see the job as a transaction, the very first moment, the cost is higher than the reward.
You're out, or you scale back.
You quit. It's the difference between doing something because you have to versus doing something because you feel honored to have the chance. That's what gets you through the long, unrewarding stretches.
Right, because even with that privileged mindset, you're still human. You're still going to have bad days.
Oh, absolutely.
And the source material is really clear about this. Paul, who is one of history's most driven figures, he admitted his own capacity for despair.
He confessed that he faced hardships in the Roman province of Asia that were so intense, he said they nearly drove him to outright hopelessness.
Which is fascinating, that level of vulnerability.
It is. So many high achievers try to hide their struggles, but he just laid it all out there.
And it raises this critical paradox the sources really confront. If the calling, the work, is so significant and so wonderful, how can you still lose heart?
Yeah, how can the battery still run dry?
It almost feels like a failure of the premise. If I'm truly called to do this great work, shouldn't I be, superhuman?
Well, the source material addresses that. It asserts that the mandate, the calling, it's always accompanied by the power you need for preservation through difficulty.
So not removal of difficulty.
No, preservation through it. The difficulty is the constant. It's the expected environment. The power isn't meant to make the path easy. It's about making your endurance possible.
And that distinction is crucial. And nothing, I think, illustrates the value of that endurance more, the great Alexander White anecdote. This detail is just pure gold.
It's an amazing story.
It cuts right through that emotional despair that makes us want to quit.
So the story is about a minister who was just profoundly depressed. He felt like a failure, and he was so discouraged that he wrote to this famous Scottish preacher, Alexander White.
And he basically asked for permission to quit,
Yeah,
right?
To
abandon his church.
give his post, yeah.
Yeah.
And White's response, it wasn't a pep talk. It wasn't about, a better marketing plan for the church.
Right.
It was this stunning cosmic reframing of the whole situation. He told the minister, absolutely do not think about giving up preaching.
And the reason why is just incredible.
It is. He says it's because the highest beings, the angels surrounding the divine throne, they envy you for having this great work to do.
Wow. Just think about that for a second.
Sure.
Even from a secular standpoint,
Right.
it completely divorces the value of the work from any measurable result. The value is inherent. It's non-negotiable.
It doesn't matter if your effort feels futile to you or if, your congregation is shrinking. The value is rooted in the act of commitment itself.
And that perspective, that's maybe the only thing that can withstand the pressure of modern performance standards.
Speaking of performance standards,
Yes.
that anecdote is the perfect philosophical preparation for the crisis we all face today.
The crisis of the KPI, the spreadsheet.
Exactly. Because once you bring in external reality, market share, viewership, clicks, you're immediately asking, who gets to judge the value? The universe, the angels, or the spreadsheet?
And we've all been trained by business culture to worship KPIs, key performance indicators.
They determine everything. Success, failure, your promotion, your bonus. There's this deep ingrained fear that if your numbers don't go up and to the right every single quarter, you're a failure.
So if we take that cold corporate standard and we apply it to this kind of dedicated long-term commitment that Pastor Huja Kang is talking about,
You get a radical conflict.
let's look at the specific and frankly painful example the source material gives us, the pastor's own career.
The sources detail 35 years of service, starting back in 1991.
35 years.
In the eastern region, focused on one small church of only 50 to 60 people.
Okay, so 35 years, one place, very little growth. If you put that record in front of a modern HR department, the reaction would probably be brutal.
Oh, absolutely. Through the lens of conventional, achievement-based metrics, growth, scalability, visibility, that record would look like an absolute failure.
It's like being stuck in an entry-level job for decades.
With no significant expansion, no demonstrable financial gain, it's a gut punch of a comparison, really.
It is, because it just reveals how deeply our bias towards scale is ingrained in us. In the pastor's organization, they face the same struggle in the digital age.
Which makes it so relatable for anyone creating content or a product today.
Totally. So the sources note that while their internal podcast download numbers are actually strong, the external validation is all over the place.
Very mixed, yeah. Their video viewership on platforms like YouTube is often, it's extremely low.
How low are we talking?
Sometimes hitting only single digits.
Single digits. And how much are they producing?
This is the amazing part. They're producing 8 to 10 different programs daily.
Wait, hold on. 8 to 10 programs a day for single-digit views.
Yes.
That level of commitment just defies every algorithm, all the conventional wisdom from Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Most creators would quit after a week of that.
They'd say it's not cost-effective.
Not at all.
And this is precisely the moment where the motive has to take over from the metric.
Right.
The source emphasizes that the pastor and his team, and that includes 7 or 8 workers focused on AI services, they continue this intense labor not because of human demand, not because of the viewing figures.
So what's the
The motivation, the inspiration, it flows solely from the direction of the master, from that foundational mandate they accepted 35 years ago.
Okay, but let me push back on that a little bit. The idea of just ignoring metrics.
It's a fair point.
In the real world, in business, in public health, whatever, you need measurable results. You need them to justify funding and payroll and continued effort. How can you define faithfulness without any measurable result?
That's a vital tension. And the source doesn't argue for, incompetence or a lack of effort.
Okay.
It argues that the metric must be secondary to the motive. They're not saying don't check the numbers. They're saying don't let the numbers define your dedication.
I see.
In fact, the team finds this immense internal value, a kind of psychological KPI, you could say, in the process itself. They get a benefit by receiving the word again and again while they're teaching and making the content.
So the service feeds the servant.
Exactly. It reframes the whole cost-benefit analysis. The team isn't just delivering a product. They're in a process that sanctifies their own commitment. It becomes self-reinforcing.
And that brings us to that analogy about external comparison. The biblical parable of the servants with the talents.
A powerful lesson for avoiding peer pressure in any workplace.
This is so critical for loyalty, for morale. You can't let the actions of your peer, the one who buried his money, the one who's sleeping in or cutting corners and still getting paid, you can't let that dictate your own commitment.
That's just a horizontal distraction.
Right. Your accountability is vertical. It's only to the one who gave you the initial mandate, your boss, the mission.
If you're diligent, you just can't let the laziness of a colleague erode your own standards. Your score is based solely on your own faithfulness to the task you were given.
So this focus on motive, rather than peer comparisons or these discouraging KPIs, is really the engine that keeps that 35-year commitment going, despite the small numbers.
It has to be.
But that leaves us with this ultimate, nagging philosophical question. Why do these hardworking, faithful efforts sometimes yield such disappointing small results?
And the sources tackle this head-on. They conclude that the issue isn't necessarily ineffective action. It's the inherent weakness of human nature and its profound need for change.
Meaning?
Well, if even the ultimate demonstration of power and dedication, Jesus performing mighty deeds, feeding 5,000, still ended in what the world would call failure, a crucifixion, it forces us to reset our expectations of what success even looks like.
So if even the most successful, most influential figure in history faced what conventional metrics would call an epic failure,
right,
then our own struggle with low video views or a small church is just, well, it's part of the human condition we're trying to serve.
It shifts the focus from our effectiveness to our persistence.
So let's wrap this up. Let's bring it back home for you, the listener. We've seen how shifting from a burden mindset to a privilege mindset creates this crucial foundation.
We use the Alexander White anecdote to affirm that inherent non-metric value of the work itself.
And we've confronted the stark reality of the modern KPI crisis through the pastor's 35-year tenure.
And the primary takeaway here is this. Whether your field is spiritual or entirely secular, the ultimate measure of success, the sustainable foundation, is being a faithful servant.
Someone who focuses on the assigned task and that internal motive.
That dedication has to be independent of the external metrics. The final great score is given by the principle, the master, the objective truth of your effort, not by the current market sentiment or the quarterly view count.
Focus on the faithfulness, not the futility. And that raises a provocative final thought for you to carry forward.
Think about a current project or an area in your life. It could be a hobby, a difficult relationship, a professional task, something that's yielding very little public praise or numerical return. If the measure of success is truly faithfulness to the commitment and not the number on the screen, what specific metric do you need to stop checking for the next month? What number can you ignore to allow yourself to simply focus on the inherent value of the commitment you've already made?